Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please like and subscribe. Yo, become a member to the channel. $2.99 a month. If you enjoy my videos, then become a member. It really helps the channel because these videos are put out. I enjoy doing them, but they are time consuming. So if you appreciate my efforts, then support the channel. With that being said, you can always leave a donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Now look, man. Why Jaron Ennis versus Jermell Charlo is the fight to make at 154. Now, I'm going to probably do about 40, maybe 50 videos between now and Friday about Jaron Ennis. Because it's fight week. And I have a lot of different things in my mind and a lot of ideas. But let me just make this clear. If you're asking boxing fans who the king of 154 pounds, the 154-pound division was just a few years ago, they tell you one name. And that one name is Jermell Charlo. Now, if you ask who might be next in line to take that crown, irregardless of what I feel, they're probably going to tell you Jaron Ennis. And see, this is why this matchup right here, Ennis versus Jermell Charlo, it's not just a fight, but it could, no kidding, be a passing of the torch. Now, are there other fighters at 154 right now who may give Jaron Ennis a stiffer test just because of them being active, right? I would have to say, yeah, quite possibly. But the fact remains, no one at 154 has defeated Jermell Charlo. He was the top dog there, okay? So that matters. Now, when we start talking about the lineage of 154, let's just understand this. Before we dive into styles and strengths, right? Let's talk about why this fight means something. Because some people feel like Jaron Ennis fighting Jermell Charlo means nothing. 154 pounds is one of the most legendary divisions in modern boxing history. It's had warriors like the De La Hoyas, the Winky Rice, the Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and more recently, Jermell Charlo, who was the undisputed king. Now, Charlo cleaned house at 154 pounds. He didn't just talk. He took, and he took belts. Castaño, Jason Rosario, Tony Harrison, Erickson Lubin, all of them fell before Iron Man. He unified every major title, proving he was the best of his era at 154. Now, the one thing people are holding on to, and they just won't release it, is the fact that he then moved up too far, had a great opportunity to fight Canelo, huge money, made like $30 million. People still don't realize how much money that man made. That man made some dough, okay? It went to 168 and fought Canelo, and, you know, it was a massive challenge, massive payday, but let's be honest. For Jermell Charlo, it wasn't his weight class. It wasn't his kingdom. He was out of his zone, fighting a super middleweight Mexican tank, Viva Mexico Cabrones. And his power and speed, I'm not going to say it didn't carry over. What I'm going to say is he didn't want to take risks because he was scared to let his hands go. And if you're not going to take risks, you're going to lose against a guy like Canelo, and that's what happened. But irregardless, back at 154, shit, man, let's really think about that. Nobody ever beat Jermell Charlo fair and square. And that's why Ennis, I think, really needs that scalp. He needs to get that Jermell Charlo scalp. Now, for those of you saying Tony Harrison beat him, they robbed Jermell Charlo. Everyone knows that. That's why the rematch went the way it did. They robbed Jermell Charlo. But it doesn't matter, okay? But when it comes to Jaron Ennis, he's a new king in waiting. He's just waiting. Now, of course, I don't like the way he's moving at 154, but the bottom line is, Jaron was once the boogeyman in the welterweight division, and he cleaned out whoever they put in front of him, destroyed Castiel Clayton, dominated Lipinets, did the business with Roman Villa, actually toyed with him. Didn't get the big names, the Ortiz, Spence, Crawford, that just never came to fruition. Now, some would say, look, with Jaron Boots Ennis, no one wanted to give him a shot, so what do you expect him to do? You know, I don't quite agree with that bullshit, but I'll just say, you know what? If no one can give you a shot, you should move up. And that's exactly what he did. Sounds like he was having some issues making the weight, and it was a tough time getting him fights. Guys who wanted to fight him, guys who said they would fight him, they wanted the kind of money Eddie Hearn wasn't willing to pay. So now Ennis he's at 154, about to fight Wisma Lima. And they want you to believe that he doesn't just want a belt at 154, that he wants the throne. The same throne Jermell Charlo once sat on. Now, I got my own concerns about that because I'm looking at who he's fighting and just wondering, if you want to go on and chase greatness at 154, you're not going to be very polished going into those big fights when you're here fighting I'd say an F-level fighter. This guy, Wisma Lima, has no chance. Charlo is going to kill him. But at the end of the day, when he destabilizes this guy, Wisma Lima, then I think a fight with Charlo, I think that's the perfect crossroads of eras. Just go after Charlo. Everybody else making it complicated. Turk Al-Sheikh is now funding PBC events. Try to figure out something between Jaron Ennis between Jermell Charlo and yourself. See if y'all can make that fight. But the thing is, Jermell Charlo made so much money against Canelo. I don't know how he's gonna feel coming back and with Eddie Hearn trying to squeeze him every dime out of him to make sure he doesn't go in to fight as the A side. That's the other thing. Eddie Hearn doesn't want Jermell Charlo to not be the A side. If he's fighting Charlo, Charlo's got to be the A side. I can't see how Charlo could come back and was a king at 154 and not be the A side. At least it's got to be a 50-50 split. Eddie Hearn may not want that. But you see, Charlo represents the old guard, the generation that unified the division. And Ennis represents the new blood, the fighter that fans believe can dominate for the next decade. So the fight is a bridge between past and future. And we know Turk Al-Sheikh is looking for guys that can carry boxing into the future. But what would happen is I think it would reestablish some credibility at 154. The division's been floating since Charlo left. You have Fundora's surface, Zoo's surface, Mendoza's surface, Xander Zaya's surface, and several of the names, and Murtazali. But look, all solid names. No clear king. If Ennis beats Charlo, he's not just another contender. He is the real deal and the real heir to the throne. But it will give Charlo an opportunity at redemption. You know what I'm saying? This fight would really give Charlo an opportunity to redeem himself. After the Canelo loss, Charlo's image took a hit because what we grew accustomed to seeing from Jermell Charlo, a guy who was willing to put it all on the line, take risks, let his hands go, and at some point in time, he knew he was going to hurt his opponent. And with Canelo, you just never got that. So fans started questioning his desire for greatness, his hunger. Some felt that the opposition at 154 was weak, and the way he performed against Canelo proved that. He fought weak opposition. I don't agree with that. They say he lost his fire. I don't think so, but I do think he knew he was about to get that cha-ching, ching, Wu-Tang cream, and just said, all right, let me go in here and try. In the first round, he tried. In the second round, the second and third round, whenever he got hit, he said, F this. That didn't feel good. So I'm just going to go the distance, get my money, not get hurt, and I don't care. But I do think a good way to prove everyone wrong for Jermell Charlo is to come back down, defend his legacy against the most dangerous young lion in the sport, according to many. It's marketable and it's personal, this fight. Philly versus Texas, the quiet killer and Boots Ennis versus the loudmouth warrior, Jermell Charlo. Boots doesn't talk much, he just fights. Charlo talks enough for the both of them. So the contrast in personalities alone will sell the fight. And Terrence Crawford could be on the sideline hyping it up too, because Jermell Charlo has beef with Crawford. Boots obviously got some beef with Crawford. And Crawford just sitting back at the top of the sport saying, all right, y'all go fight. Y'all my children. Y'all go out there and fight, and whoever wins, maybe I'll look at you. But if we get technical, right, about Jermell Charlo and Jaron Boots Ennis, this isn't just a height matchup, stylistically. It's fireworks, man. You know Jermell, he's not going to come down there and just be okay with running around the ring this time. He is going to fight. And Boots also is going to fight. Jermell Charlo brings championship level composure. He ain't no joke, man. He's a counterpuncher by nature, doesn't waste movement, very smart, very economical, waits for his opponent to make a mistake, then explodes with power. The type of power that slept guys with one shot. It's just can he get off on Jaron Ennis? But Jermell, his jab is sharp, his timing's elite, ring IQ is underrated. He knows how to fight off the ropes, how to set traps, how to lure young, hungry fighters into making mistakes. But he's been off for a few years now, man, and he's 34. I'll tell you something, man, and when you're out the year for over a ring, the question becomes, are those reflexes still there? You got to be active, man. But they got a handful of fighters that are just special. But when they don't have a fight lined up, they're still living in the gym. And a guy like Jaron Ennis, he would be a handful for a Jermell Charlo, who maybe hasn't been in the gym the way he should have over the last couple of years. Ennis brings a modern hybrid style, and it's been very, very effective. He got the speed, got the athleticism, very creative. You saw that when he fought Roman Villa. He's got all that wrapped up in one. He want to go left, he can go left. He wants to go right, he can go right. And he can do all that mid-combination, which is very impressive. He can counter you, creates awkward angles, can counter you from awkward angles, can initiate the offense from an awkward angle, throw 6 clean shots in under 2 seconds. So he's not just fast, he's very precise. He's not just strong, he's very surgical. Now, Charlo's the classic boxer puncher. Boots is the prototype of the next generation. Fluid, explosive. It's a technician built on chaos. So if Charlo's a classic boxer puncher, Boots is the prototype of the next generation, you know what, man? That means this fight will be old school versus new school. Timing versus speed, legacy, and hunger. But I'm going to tell you, I don't, right now, I don't know who wins that fight. I'm not going to say Boots wins that fight. I'm not going to say Jermell wins it. But I think it comes down to the mental game, too. Charlo's biggest edge has always been his mental toughness. He could talk the talk, but he could walk the walk. He's emotional, but he challenged it. He channels it very, very well. When he feels disrespected, he performs better. What do you say? Watch him. Keep running your mouth. That shit is crazy. Keep running your mouth, and then they go and they basically knock people out. But when it comes to a guy like Boots, he ain't got to worry about all that because he's ice cold. He doesn't show emotion, doesn't talk trash. But that can be dangerous for someone like Charlo who feeds off energy, because Jaron Boots Ennis is going to be like, all right, we'll see. For real. We'll see. For real. Philly, for real. If Charlo can't rattle Jaron Boots Ennis, he's forced to rely purely on skill, and that's where Ennis might have the edge. Because Charlo seems to be kind of guy who needs to be someone to get under his skin, provoked in a sense, to have the motivation he needs to go forward. But there's some risk and there's some reward associated with this, man. For Jermell Charlo, the fight's everything. It's everything for Jermell, man. If he wins, he reclaims his respect, his relevance, and possibly his spot in the pound-for-pound conversation. Now, if he loses, well, it's the end of his era. And people are going to say, man, get your ass up out of here and go on and retire. But now for Jaron, stakes are just as high, because if he beats Jermell, he inherits not just the belts, but the legacy. But it's like taking the final boss's crown in a video game. But if he loses, fans are going to question everything. That's why this fight is perfect. It's dangerous for both men. It means something. But for Jaron Ennis, they're going to say, look, he finally stepped up against a guy who was elite, who's been inactive. And that guy had too much for Jaron. So they're going to say Jaron was more hype. He was more hype than the real deal. They're going to be like, we should have doubted him. That's why they're going to decimate his character, man. But I just think it's a dangerous fight for both men. I think that's the perfect fight to make. Now, we talk about the politics and the payoff. Look, we get it. This is boxing. And boxing never makes sense without politics, man. Charlo's under PBC. Boots is, working with Eddie Hearn. But the thing is this. Turki Al-Sheikh is now involved with PBC. So if Turki Al-Sheikh wants to see the fight, he'll put his money up. But remember, he came to Boots. It was like, I want you on this card on this day. I want you to fight this guy. And Boots didn't start talking tune-ups, and he was like, get out of here. Turki Al-Sheikh, he doesn't have time for no tune-up bullshit. He wants nothing to do with tune-ups. Nothing. He wants you to go straight into the fire. And a guy like Jaron Ennis, he should go straight into the fire. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be the offspring of Roy Jones Jr. and Terrence Crawford. So what you doing talking about tune-ups? His whole career has been nothing but tune-ups. So Turki Al-Sheikh sees through the bull crap. He's like, nah, enough of this. But Eddie Hearn is going to protect his investment. So it is what it is. But I think the fight is makeable. And the money, I think there's some money there. Charlo still has name value. Boots is building momentum. If you market it as, I think, the battle for the throne at 154, I think it could be pay-per-view event worthy, you know what I mean? Especially if it's on the same card as another major fight. It could really strengthen that fight card having these guys on there. But to be honest with you, Jermell is a main event, and Boots may be able to headline by himself. But if Turki Al-Sheikh's put on another big Riyadh season card, this is the perfect fight to put on that card as a co-main, if not a main, depending on who they have on there. So the bottom line is, Jermell Charlo, Jermell Charlo walked so fighters like Jaron Ennis could run. You know what I'm saying? Now it's time for the king and his heir to collide, and I think they should have the mashup crash up. Ennis says he wants to rule 154. Charlo once did, but we know who really did the business, and we're going to see if Boots tries to do the business after he gets past Weiss Molina. We're going to see what he does next. And if he calls out, he got to call somebody out. He got to make some noise. But boy, if he somehow get the Jermell Charlo fight, I'm okay with that. But until those two settle it in the ring, there can't be a true king at 154 pounds, because it's just in the breeze. But if Charlo comes back, I'm telling you, he's already gonna be given the crown again, because no one's ever beat him. So this isn't just a fight. I truly believe Charlo and Boots, I think that's a legacy moment. I really do. Could be a passing of the torch, could be a redemption of the arc, and a chance for one man to prove that he's still great. That's Jermell Charlo, and for another to show that he's ready to be. So, Jaron Boots Ennis and Jermell Charlo, this is the fight that could define 154 pounds. We just got to see if the fight can be made. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veteran, 7 continents in the breeze.